Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Electrified Outdoors. Just took delivery of your new Silverado EV or Sierra EV? You're going to want to change these settings in the first 24 hours to avoid headaches, save time, and preserve the health of your battery. But first, if you're new here, my name is Ken and I make videos about living and adventuring with electric vehicles, specifically electric trucks, and I like to do it outdoors. If that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and click on subscribe. And when you click on subscribe, hit that notification bell and you won't miss out on any of our upcoming content. And if you hit the like button, it'll help others find our content just a little bit easier on YouTube. So here we are inside of the Silverado EV here. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna set up our profile. If we go into the settings, we can see profiles and accounts. So we're gonna go in here and there you can see my Google account, but you can see that I'm set up as an administrator and I can add a profile in here. And what this does is this allows you to customize all of your vehicle settings. This is also useful if you have more than one person operating the vehicle. For example, my wife sometimes drives the vehicle. Now, if she drives it frequently, she should probably set up a profile as well. If she drives it very infrequently, she can just use the guest profile. And I'll show you that in a second. But I'm going to say OK here. And this is going to take me into the profile setup. Now, this will depend on the speed of your connection. And it's going to ask us if we want to turn on the vehicle location. So we're going to say yes. It's also going to ask us to turn on GPS navigation and vehicle features, so we're going to do that. It's also going to be a good idea for you to be connected to Wi-Fi when you do this. That's going to make this a lot quicker. But you can see we now have a new profile here in addition to my guest profile and my actual profile. And if I go into Manage Profile, I can add an account to the profile. So you can have a local profile on the truck, and then you can also synchronize data. So I'm going to add a Google account, okay? You can also add a vehicle account as well. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole process, but this is something that you're going to want to do immediately when you get the truck. So you're going to go onto your phone and you're going to scan the QR code shown on the screen and add your Google account there. You can also add a vehicle account. So this is going to be your My Chevrolet account. So I recommend that you set up a profile for each person who's going to drive the vehicle regularly. You're going to want to add both the My Chevrolet account and also if you have a Google account and you choose to do that, add the Google account. So this is going to be the number one thing that you're going to do when you get your brand new Silverado EV or Sierra EV. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to customize the My Mode drive mode. So if we go home here, and we go into drive modes, you can see we have multiple different drive modes. Now this is an RST. Depending on the trim of Silverado or Sierra EV that you have, you may or may not see all of these options. But the My Mode allows you to customize your ride to suit your preferences. Now, I recommend that you set this up so you can switch into that My Mode anytime you want. So we're going to go ahead and hit this pencil icon. And when we go in here, you can see we can choose the responsiveness of the steering. Okay, so Touring is going to make the steering very light. Normal is going to be in the middle of Touring and Sport. Sport is going to make the steering wheel feel really heavy. In the Silverado EV here, I actually think it's a little too heavy. So I'm going to tap that back to normal. We're going to go into suspension. And I like to have a really soft suspension in the My Mode. This is going to be when I have people with me and I just want it to be a really nice ride on the highway. Acceleration feel, you can see we have relaxed, normal, and sport. I think normal is fine for acceleration feel. Motor sound, we don't want any motor sounds. If you like the simulated motor sounds, you can turn them on. You have two options. You have normal and sport. And then when you go down to My Mode, that just tells you what it does. So once you set up My Mode, you can go into My Mode at any time from your Drive Modes menu. And all of your preferred settings will be applied. So this is really nice. I use my mode for highway driving. So if I'm taking a really long highway trip, it's going to make my suspension really soft and my ride really compliant for just a really pleasant highway ride. The next thing you're going to do, and I would argue this is one of the most important things you're going to want to do when you get your new Silverado EV or Sierra EV, is set up your charging preferences. So we're going to tap this lightning bolt at the top of the screen here. If you don't see the lightning bolt there, when you go into your menu, you're going to select charging. And this is going to bring you into the charging screen. Now, when you come into the charging screen under Charge Now, you're going to be able to set a charge limit, okay? And I recommend 70% for daily charging. Now, this is only going to apply if you set a home location. It'll only apply to your home location. That way, when you are out on a road trip and public charging, it will allow you to charge up to 100%. I really like how GM has implemented that part of it. If 70% is not enough for you on a daily basis, you can bump this up. You can really bump it up. I don't recommend any more than 90%. You can see I'm plugged in, so now it's started charging. Let's bump that back down. You can also use the slider. So we're going to bump that back down. We're going to stop charging. Okay, so you can see that I can set a charge limit, and what this 70% charge limit is going to do is it's going to ensure maximum longevity of my battery. So as you can see, I have the Silverado EV with the max batteries. It's the largest battery, and 70% still gives me an amazing 362 miles of range estimated here. That's going to be plenty for most folks on a daily basis. And like I said, if you need more, you can bump it up. I really don't recommend you go over 80 or 85% though for maximum battery longevity. On the charge later, you can set the vehicle to be ready and preconditioned. So in other words, if you leave for the office every day at 5 a.m., you can set your departure time for 5 a.m. and you can set it to precondition. Okay, so this is going to have the vehicle be ready. So let's say I leave every day for the office at 5 a.m. and I not only want the vehicle to be charged and ready by that time, I also want it to precondition. So I would set that here. And then every day at 5 a.m., the vehicle is going to be fully charged or charged to my charge limit. And it's also going to condition the cabin so the vehicle is nice and warm. This is especially useful if you park the vehicle outdoors in either hot conditions or cold conditions. Also on the charging, make sure you sign into the My Chevrolet account because that will give you the charge assist features. Okay, and this here will tell you what that does. It allows you to find nearby chargers and all that fun stuff. And it also allows you to do some stuff with the mobile app. So I recommend you connect your My Chevrolet account. The next thing you can do is if you're on a time of use electricity plan, if this doesn't apply to you, you can skip over this section, but if you are on a time of use, you can create a schedule so that the vehicle charges during your off-peak charging times. This will significantly lower your charging costs. So when we go in here, you can see we can set a schedule. I'm going to set Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so this is going to be weekdays. We're going to have the charge complete by, I'm going to say 6:45 a.m. I do recommend that you set it to be 15 minutes prior to the ending of your off-peak period. So if your off-peak period ends at 7 a.m., set this to 6:45. You're also going to set your charge limit. We're going to bump that down to 70% because we want it to charge to 70%. And you can also select for it to precondition if you want it to precondition as well. So this is very useful. Everything's all in one place. We can set it to do everything on the weekdays and utilize our off-peak charging as well as precondition the vehicle. I'm not going to save this because I don't have a time of use rate plan. The last thing we can do under the charging settings that you're definitely going to want to do is set your home location. So when we come in here, we're going to set our home charging location. You can see that I've already set mine. And if you change your home location, you can also remove and update from in here as well. So make sure you do that right away. And then also select your charging cord type, whether you have a level 2 charger. This is going to be a 240 volt level 2 charger, or if you're just doing level 1, which is where you plug into a regular standard 120 volt outlet. This helps the truck know how fast the vehicle is going to be able to charge, and it uses that to determine how long it's going to take to get the vehicle ready and such. So the next thing we're going to do, folks, is download all of the apps that we want to use from the Google Play Store. Now, you will need to sign into your Google account to be able to do this, but we're going to go in here. You can see we have a lot of different apps in here. This is Pastime While Parked. For example, we have a Google Chrome web browser, we have video apps, we have games, and so on and so forth. So go on and download all the apps that you're going to use. There are other apps as well. I can show you some of the apps that I have. For example, I have YouTube Music, PlugShare, Prime Video, and YouTube. Also have Google News on there. So go ahead and download all your apps and get them set up so that you're ready to go anytime you jump into your new vehicle. The next thing we're going to do, and this is really an important one that I recommend for everybody to do, and we're going to go into security, and we're going to put a profile lock on our profile. Now, I have a pattern profile lock. You can also have a pin. So I'm going to enter my pattern. So now that we're into the lock type, we can select none. I have a pattern lock set just because that's the easiest way to get in and out of it. We can also do a pin, or we can do a password. But I do recommend that you lock your profile so that someone can't just jump in and get into all of your settings and your history of where you've been and all that kind of stuff. Really useful if other people get into your vehicle and drive it, if you have valets that use your vehicle, or if you drop it off for service. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our Google Maps, and we're going to set our preferences in here. Now, again, I recommend that you log into your Google account, and we're going to tap on Settings here. And in here, we can see that we have multiple options for the guidance audio, but you're going to want to make sure you turn on traffic and alerts. Google Maps will also alert you to things like speed traps, traffic cameras, and things of that nature. The Google Maps in here is really, really good. So I recommend you turn on both of those options. You're also going to want to configure your route options. If there's certain things that you want to avoid, for example, I like to avoid ferries. You can also prefer HOV lanes. You can prefer energy efficient routes, which is what I have set. And you can also avoid highways and tolls. Pretty typical stuff. You're going to want to set your home and work locations. This will allow you to easily select those from the navigation menu anytime you jump into the vehicle. You can download offline maps. So you can see that mine has downloaded automatically an offline map. This helps you if you have connectivity issues, and make sure that you will still be able to navigate if connectivity is limited. We can set up EV payment filters, so we can go in and select all the different charging providers that we have accounts with, and it will use those to route us to chargers. Now, this is going to be a quick one. I'm sure most of you already know this, but you're going to want to go into connections and obviously connect to Wi-Fi for your home location, and then also add in your phone. And if you add in a trusted device, it will allow you to bypass the screen lock when the phone is within range, which is handy. But we're going to go into the vehicle settings, and we're just going to go in and set a couple of different things here. So Super Cruise, if your vehicle is equipped with Super Cruise, you're going to want to go in here and configure how you want the lane changes to be handled. For example, I don't want Super Cruise to automatically change lanes. I only want it to change when I activate the turn signal. And if you don't want Super Cruise to change lanes for you at all, you can turn that off. If you have trailering packages, you can enable the turn signal activated view. This is the blind spot camera, and the trailer length indicator. If we go into climate and air quality, you can see that we can set our auto fan speed in here. This is something I really recommend. If you talk on the phone a lot, or if you have passengers, sometimes the fan can get really loud. So this allows you to tune that so that the HVAC is not really noisy. But you may need to come in and adjust that, for example, if you're dealing with extreme temperatures. We can set heated and cooled seats on startup, auto defog, auto rear defog, Eco Climate is something you're going to want to turn on. That's going to put you in Eco Climate mode, and it's not going to heat the rear of the vehicle. This will conserve a significant amount of energy for you. The collision detection system, now if you have a 2026 or newer vehicle and you change this from alert and brake to alert, which a lot of you like to do, it will reset when you key cycle. This is something that GM has engineered into the newer vehicles. They don't want you to disable the automatic braking, so when you do, it automatically resets each time you turn the vehicle off and on. And you have some different things in here like adaptive cruise go notifier, lane change alert, park assist with braking, rear cross traffic braking, rear pedestrian alert, and so on and so forth. Comfort and convenience. You're going to want to go in here and customize all these settings to your preferences. If you want to dive deeper into all the settings available in this infotainment system, I'll link down to my full video down below, which goes over in depth every single setting, feature, and function that's available in the GM electric vehicle infotainment system. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to configure our shortcuts. Now we're back to my profile, and as you can see, I have some different things up here than what's here by default. I have my drive modes up here, so I can quickly change drive modes. I have my YouTube music icon up here, and I also have my cameras up here. I like to use my cameras when I'm pulling into the garage so that I can avoid any possible obstacles. I also like to just be able to pull the camera up at any time and see what's going on. And you can see that the Silverado and Sierra EVs just have an awesome camera system. I really, really like it. So I like to be able to access it at any time. And I also have my drive modes up here. Now, the way you customize this is you tap and hold, and it turns orange, and I can drag it up here, and it's going to replace something. Let's replace the quick controls. Well, it won't let me do that. Let's try to replace yes. It will let me replace that with the vehicle status. But I don't want the vehicle status up there. I'd rather have my drive modes, so we're going to put the drive modes back up there. So I recommend you get all your shortcuts set up here. Unfortunately, you can't modify the shortcuts over here on the left-hand side. All right, everyone, so that's going to wrap up this video of the very first things you're going to want to do when you take delivery of your new Silverado EV or Sierra EV. How do you plan to set your vehicle up? Let us know down in the comments section. We always love to hear from you down there. And do you disagree with any of the settings that I chose? Let me know down below. As always, folks, remember to like, click on subscribe, and when you click on subscribe, hit that bell so you get notified anytime we add new content. Hug the people you love, and we will see you next time.